and welcome to episode I just spit all over my camera.
I'm John from Unqualified Gamers. Hello, a podcast member of the GonnaGeek Network, just like the one you're listening to now. The opinions expressed are those of each individual. Check out other podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com. And get ready, because geekiness begins in 3, 2, 1.
This is it. The part of your week where you get to put your headphones on, relax, and listen to a bunch of geeks geek out about geeky things. They're passionate.
I'm an IT guy. You should never delete. Most of the time you delete, you regret deleting.
They rage.
You guys are being hypersensitive with your point to be offended. Oh, he deleted his Twitter account. Oh, I'm mad. What?
And sometimes they're even funny.
Tell your wife that I said hello again and sorry I couldn't be there tonight.
That's okay. Your wife says hi too.
Let me emphasize that. Sometimes. Welcome to the GonnaGeek.com podcast.
Hello and welcome to episode 122 of the official GonnaGeek.com podcast. I'm Stephen John Drew, and we are here once again live at Geeks.live every Monday at 5:45 p.m. Pacific, 8:45 p.m. Eastern. Today we are missing JS, unfortunately. He can't be here. However, we do have a full crew because we have Sunkast with us tonight. What's going on, Sunkast?
Oh, hey, you talking to me? I'm sorry, I'm busy. I'm playing Fallout 4.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And we also have SP.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's been an exciting weekend. I'm sure we'll talk about it later.
And we also have Chris Farrell for all.
What are you guys talking about? I'm playing Fallout 4 also.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I'm level 57 Vault Dweller. I don't know what any of this means because I don't actually play Fallout 4.
How's everybody's weeks going? Going well?
It's exciting. I'm learning how to fly with non-inverted flight controls on Battlefront. That's exciting.
Ooh, that's fancy. Fancy.
It is. I've crashed 3 times.
I have to admit, I've been spending a lot of times doing Christmas stuff in the yard because we have our Thanksgiving up here in Canada in October. So I have been in the festive Christmas spirit for a week or so now.
Yes, and your neighbors hate you.
They do.
Probably.
And that was though before I put on my Christmas display. So. But Sunkast, we do have Sunkast here tonight. He is from the GFQ Network. This is the second time he's been on here, but Sunkast, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
So I'm basically the guy that's mostly behind the scenes of the GFQ Network, but I do also do a couple of shows. One of them is Tech News Weekly on the GFQ Network. Basically, anything you see on the GFQ Network, I've got a little bit of a hand in doing the production for the videos, posting them on the website, or doing Tech News Weekly. That's pretty much my job for the GFQ Network.
Well, on that note, let's go ahead and move into our news. Shall we do that?
Absolutely. Got a lot to talk about.
Alrighty. Alrighty, so news this week. Well, here's what I had for my news point. I wanted to talk today about a fantastic fundraiser, one that is back again this year for a very familiar, by a very familiar person. Now, I don't think that I could do this charity justice talking about it, so I do have a special guest with us. So should we bring them on here?
Yes.
Them? Many guests?
No,
All right.
No, he is just such a person that I like to think of him as more than one person. But yes, we do have with us today Steve Boyd. Steve Boyd is a good friend of mine and somebody that you may know from a variety of podcastery. He has podcasts with myself, with JS. He's even podcast with Chris. And you know who else he podcasts with? He
Sorry.
podcast with SP in SP's dreams. That's who he podcasts with.
Ooh.
Actually done a podcast with him once too. It was a Walking the Walking Dead podcast.
Yes, yeah. That was my thing. It
Was?
still well, kind of it was our thing. It was our thing.
I forgot about that. That's right. So you have touched all of us.
Oh, that's so sweet.
In our
That's
special
you.
place.
It's so awkward.
But no, Steve,
This is-
you for you YouTube viewer, by the way, Steve Boyd did. He couldn't hook up his Yeti tonight, so he is sitting there on his phone, which we still appreciate you coming in with that. And he was just really massaging his Yeti in all the wrong places. Like, I don't get that, Steve.
It looked awkward, but that's funny coming from a man who has 8 of them behind him.
I
It's
do.
like we got a museum of microphones going on there.
It's 6, Steve. It's only 6.
I got
Come
you,
on.
you know,
Come
I
on.
lost my virginity in front of this one. I don't blame. They're like trophies, man. It's all good.
That's true. But Steve, let's turn it over to you to tell the audience about what you're doing this year, because like I said, very, very, very good cause, and very happy to have you on here.
Awesome. Listen, I appreciate you guys having me on. And basically what I do is every year I do a thing called, I work for ComicCollectorLive.com. I'm the executive vice president of the company. And for the last 6 years, we have been doing a fundraiser in conjunction with Vanderbilt Children's Hospital in Nashville, Tennessee. We call it the CCL Marathon Christmas Fundraiser. So what we do is every year I started approaching the CCL membership because in 2008, I think it was. Yeah, 2008. It's been a long time we've been doing this. 2008. We went to a coworker and I went to a children's play center called My Gym that's here in town. And they had set up a Christmas tree, and the ornaments on the tree were paper donations. And on every one of the pieces of paper, the ornaments was an item that Vanderbilt Children's Hospital needed for their wish list. And it touched me a little bit because my son, my youngest one, has Down syndrome, and he had heart surgery at Vanderbilt Children's Hospital when he was 2 weeks old. So I have a bit of a connection personally with the hospital. It's fantastic. It's phenomenal. I know people that have had experiences there at the hospital with other children and things. So I felt bad because there wasn't any of the ornaments that had been adopted. It was just completely empty. So I adopted essentially the whole tree. I went and to my CCL membership on ComicCollectorLive.com, asked them to donate money because the deadline for the tree was coming down in just a few days. So literally in, I want to say 5 days, we threw together about maybe $300 or $400, 300 something, I think tops. But anyway, we bought stuff. We were able to actually have some stuff under the tree. Every year we've done it. The play gym is closed down now, but every year I continue to do this for Vanderbilt Children's Hospital, and since 2008, we've raised just under $10,000 to buy stuff for the hospital. And the donations come in, I go out and go shopping, I fill up the shopping carts, and I go to Vanderbilt and literally drop them off with an arranged period of time that I do with the hospital to take. It's really something that's very close to me. It's personal for me. So that's the story. That's the origin of the CCL Marathon Christmas Fundraiser.
Well, I longtime listeners of this show, or even, Fanboy Buzz, where we used to be on, will have heard me talk about this before, but it's important that I talk about this every year. One of the biggest things that I just love about what you do with this fundraiser is you go and you hand select the toys. And not only do you do that, you post online the pictures of everything that you've bought. And I believe usually you actually take a picture of it there too. And it is just phenomenal, though, to see the care and the thought that you put in to this fundraiser, Steve, which is why when I heard that you had it going again this year, first thing that I did was ask you on here because it is such a good cause.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. It's important to me that people know that when they donate money, that money is going directly, all of their money is going directly to purchase these things for the hospital.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's like, well, for one, I love collecting toys and comic books, as you can see behind me and everything. So I've become used to shopping and looking for deals and everything. So me being in control of that, I can go to the store. I've negotiated the store and said, hey, if I come in here and I drop $800 on stuff, can you take my tax off or give me a 10% discount or something? And quite honestly, most of the stores have done that for me in the past. Toys R Us has done it. Kmart's done it. Walmart's done it. So we kind of spread the love. We'll go to, it was kind of, sorry, I lost my train of thought. When we first started the fundraiser, because the money was so small, the amount of money that we got, we were able to fulfill little things. We were able to get, crayons, art supplies, paper, little toys. Now that we've been raising money, we've been able to fulfill a lot of neat stuff: video games, portable DVD players, and these things are actually now they are given out at the hospital to families who are stuck there in the holidays with their kids and can't make it out to the store. So they have like a little makeshift store set up, and these kids and their families can come down and they can. Sorry, just a second, because it's it feels good to do this every year. Okay, and they come down and they get gift cards to McDonald's or Walmart or Target and stuff like that. And every year it's such a good feeling to drop that stuff off, especially when they come out with one cart and we've been able to buy so much stuff they have to go back in and get a second one because there's so much stuff. So it feels really good to be able to do this. And honestly, I feel like it's my obligation to do it, and I love doing it. So don't be surprised if I come back and ask you guys to donate to this thing.
Oh, I do every year. I did last year, and I look forward to next year, or this year and next year. But I think it's really neat because, first of all, you know what they're looking for because you've been in that position, and you're, as you said, a connoisseur of the deals, and you know the toys and that sort of thing. But also, you work with the staff, and you ask them, what's your wish list? What do you guys want this year? What are your needs this year? I think that's great that you don't just go to the store and get a bunch of stuff and then dump it on them. It's actually useful stuff.
Yeah, it's important to do it that way for a lot of different reasons. And Vanderbilt actually posts on their website the list of items that they look for. And you'd think that because it's a children's hospital, it would be very cut and dry. It would be dolls, it would be teddy bears, it would be things like that. But people don't understand there's some considerations that need to be taken, some things you have to consider because teddy bears hold germs and things like that. So they ask that you don't donate things like that. It's also things for that will keep children keep their attention for a while. It's video games, it's DVDs, it's cartoons and things like that. I would love to be able to donate comic books and stuff like that too, but it's not something that's on their list. That I would absolutely love that. I've been offered in the past, can we bring you some comic books to donate to the hospital? Things like that you would have to talk to them about and everything. But we try to throw some themed superhero stuff in there last year. I think we donated about 30 or 40 of the Marvel Titan heroes that Hasbro makes, these hardly articulated 10-inch action figures of Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh, look at that. Nice little graphic there. That's cool. Yeah. Ooh, shiny. Look at this. Anyway, yeah, so we try to still keep some of the theme superhero because that's kind of what we do at Comic Collector Live. But honestly, it's all about the kids. And we encourage people, if you, whether you donate to my cause or not, check out Vanderbilt Children's Hospital's website. I think it's vanderbiltchildrenshospital.org or something like that. I didn't prepare. I don't have it with me, but you can go on there. They post the wish list there, and you can donate to them directly if you don't want to give to me. It's totally cool. It's just important that this hospital gets what they need.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's great. And as the graphic does say, you can donate by how, Steve?
You can donate. You can send a monetary donation of any amount to our PayPal address that we've set up specifically for the fundraiser. It's CCL, the number 4, kids, KIDS, at comiccollectorlive.com. And your donation will go right into, and you send that via PayPal, and please send via friends and family. That way, there's no fees sent to us. It's all gonna go straight to the thing anyway. So, yeah, that's how you donate. You can do that, or you can, if you're in the Hendersonville, Tennessee area, you're welcome to drop by our office. We're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can drop a monetary donation off, or if you go to their website and look on their wish list, you can drop something off at our office at 131 Sanders Ferry Road, Suite 201 in Hendersonville, Tennessee, and the zip code is 37075. You can look us up online. You can find us. It's comiccollectorlive.com, and our company's name is Go Loco Media, like go crazy. So that's how you do it. That's the deal.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And Steve, thank you very much for coming on here tonight. And if any of you listeners have any not concerns, but questions on how to donate, contact us, but just back up the podcast a few seconds. Steve just gave it to you all, but you can reach out to any of us and we'll be happy to tell you about it, or just go to GonnaGeek.com, because absolutely the information will be in the show notes from this episode. So Steve, thank you very much for coming on here, and more so, thank you for doing this. This is an amazing cause, and I say this every year, but I do mean it every year. You should be very, very proud of yourself.
Look at that. I just got a donation.
There you go.
For the fundraiser. Look at there. Scott?
That's great. Somebody did it.
Somebody donated. That's amazing. That's awesome. I really, really appreciate that. It's just so it's so good. And listen, Stephen, you guys, for the last couple of years, we've known each other for what's it been, 20, 25 years now?
Yeah, I think actually
we were just toddlers when we met.
Yeah, you actually delivered me into the world.
So that was like the 17th century, guys.
I helped raise you. I'm so proud of you.
You did. So, some people like me call you Dad. That's what.
Oh, that's sweet. Yeah, that's not awkward at all.
It was a warm February day in 1992,
and you met my mom. No, just.
Oh, she's such a nice lady too. No, but you guys have been, especially you, Stephen, you've been a big supporter for the last few years since we've known each other. Ever since we started podcasting together, you've had me come on and talk about the podcast. You've helped me along with this endeavor. So to you and to everybody else, my friends and family, especially the membership of Comic Collector Live that's helped along with this, believe me, it means so much to me. I really appreciate it. A heartfelt thank you. And I should say this too. Our goal last year was $2,000 we were trying to raise, and man, it went right down to the wire, and we ended up raising just over 2,000. I think we did 2,100, something like that. This year, our goal is $3,000. So it's a little aggressive, but I'm really confident that the comic book community and all of you guys out there will help pass the word out and let people know about it. And you can also go to. Is it okay for me to plug something else while I'm on here, Stephen?
Why not? Sure. Go ahead.
Good. I do a YouTube channel. We have for comiccollectorlive.com. I do a show called. Look there, just got another donation. There's already money rolling in, guys. It's all you, baby. Chris, man. Anyway, I do a show on there and called Super Mega Comic Action News at Midnight, and we did an episode of the show where I tell people about the fundraiser and everything. I just put it live a couple weeks ago. So if you go to the Comic Collector Live YouTube channel, you can see the origin from straight from my mouth. If you want to see me again, I don't know how to say that. If you can't get enough of this face. Yeah, but seriously though, thank you, Stephen. You're awesome. You guys are in good company tonight, so I really appreciate that. Same thing for you, SG. It's been I really appreciate you giving last year and everything. So thank you again.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, thank you very much again. And as I mentioned 100 times, if you don't know where to donate, back up your podcast or go to GonnaGeek.com, and it will be on there, all of the information, because this is a very, very good cause. And Steve, thanks again for coming on here.
Anytime, guys. Thank you so much, and have a Merry Christmas, okay?
You as well. All right. Sunkast, what do you got going on for your news?
So I kind of want to talk about Windows 10. This past week, the big Windows 10 November update finally came out. It was highly anticipated. I was supposed to fix a whole bunch of bugs. Not really any new features, but a lot of bug fixes and a lot of things that it just smoothed over and made better in Windows 10. But I've had the unfortunate result of it not exactly being ready, in my opinion. And just recently, there was an article that came out that's...
Same here, Sunkast. Preach it to the choir, brother.
Okay, good. Because everybody, whenever I talk about Windows 10, there's going to be those people that are diehard Windows 10 is freaking awesome, but then there's going to be people like me and you that aren't necessarily there with Windows 10 yet, and you just kind of get lambasted for being against Windows 10. How can you be against Windows 10? It's everything you didn't like about Windows 8.
It screwed up my machine. That's why I'm against it.
Exactly. And I had that happen. My mom called me the other day and said, hey, all my stuff is missing. So I had to look at her laptop, and sure enough, it did this update in the middle of the night without any sort of warning. Didn't tell her anything that it was going to happen. And I can't explain it, and I have no idea exactly what happened, but all of her files were gone, and I had to do a system restore. Thank goodness it did a backup before it did the update, so I could restore to everything that was there, and that worked fine. But there's also now some other news out there saying that Windows or Microsoft is kind of pulling back on this update, because there's been a number of glitches. One of the bigger ones being that a lot of people are having activation issues with Windows 10 update, the November update that is. And so in result of that, Microsoft has now changed how they're delivering Windows 10, the November update. They're rolling it out now, and before you could create a ISO using the media creation tool to upgrade your current system. Now they're not doing that anymore, and the only way you can upgrade to the latest version of Windows 10 is through Windows Update, which just seems very bizarre.
Well, I'll tell you what happened to me, right? So we did an episode, Steven and I did an episode of Better Podcasting last week, and in the download we said, okay, we're going to get all set to go ahead and start, now that the Service Pack 1, and I know it's not called Service Pack 1, it's TM1 or whatever, Threshold 1.
You know, a lot of people argue about that, but if you look at the actual information in the error log, in the event viewer, it'll say Service Pack. I checked because I wanted to know what the heck was going on.
Oh, good old Bill. Bill. And I know it's not him, but I like to call it. It's Bill. It's always Bill.
It's always. So we go ahead and we say, okay, we're going to try this out, because as podcasters on a podcast about podcasting, we got to try at least test the waters and see if it'll work, right? So we said, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to make clones of our drives and we're going to get ready to roll. Well, before I did that on my main machine, I thought, there's a couple other machines in my house. I got a family with kids and everybody's got their own computers so they could do schoolwork or, work from home, whatever. And so I'm like, okay, I'll start there. Well, I started with a laptop. It's a relatively recent Dell laptop, N5110 from 2011. And it's got a second core i5 in there, 6 gigs of RAM, a terabyte hard drive. It met all the specifications. I went to the compatibility thing and said, BIOS issues with the dang thing. So I upgraded the BIOS, whatever, however you call it. I don't care. So,
I'm going to say it like a Canadian.
And then I went and tried the compatibility thing, and it wouldn't work for 3 days. I tried everything to get that thing going. Yeah, I was trying to kick it. I wrote the code in, the command DOS and everything that you're supposed to do. Nothing. So finally it kicked like Sunday night. And I was like, last night, I was like, yeah, I can upgrade this to Windows 10. And it was before this news came out. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. And if I would have waited a day, I would have heard and would like, oh no. In the process, though, I did upgrade 2 other PCs in the house that upgraded just fine. So I was thinking this will work just fine. So then I upgraded and I got the vaunted black screen of death. Yes, that's right. The black screen of death. No matter what I did, I couldn't go into safe mode and get it out. I couldn't do I could go into the technicalities here. I tried everything that you're supposed to try and got nothing. So I had to create this little stick from the Windows Media Update Center or whatever it's called.
The creation tool?
Whatever. It doesn't matter. So I did it and it said, look, you can't use the new one. We've rolled it back. You have to use the old one. okay, fine, whatever. So I create the USB stick, I stick it in there, and I cannot get the safe mode to work. So I'm like, crap, it doesn't work at all. So now I'm going to have to roll back to 7. I can't roll back to 7 because I can't get into anything that will roll it back to 7 because it's all a black screen of death. So now I have to redo from beginning, and luckily I haven't lost any data. I know. But luckily, I haven't lost any data because it's all backed up in other places. This was going to be the first computer that I did because it was a no-lose scenario. It was transitioning from one daughter to the other daughter, so the data was all backed up on other machines. I thought this will be a no problem issue. You know, if I run into issues, it's fine. And unlike I said in Better Podcasting, I did not create a clone drive because it didn't matter in this particular case. So I'm like, so now I got to start from the beginning. And I'm like, Microsoft, I hate you. I hate you so much. And if anybody is thinking about upgrading from Windows 7 to Windows 10, I say wait. I say wait until next spring when the next threshold or service pack or whatever gets out there. And they're supposed to be issuing these things quarterly. Don't do it. Just stick on your Windows 7 and watch me suffer because I'll be talking about this forever. This sucks.
So the only thing that I got to throw in here, right, is that I know I've talked about my issues that I had with my multi-video card array and all that stuff, which was honestly to be expected. I will say this now. My father-in-law was an early adopter of this. Well, tried to be. He was ready for it to give him his update. Had to wait a little while. There was all sorts of problems getting that, in typical Microsoft fashion. However, he has been on there for a while. Just got the latest pack on his laptop, the not service pack, and has had no issues. So I will say that.
It's very hit and miss.
Yeah, personally, I'm 1 for 2 on Windows 10 upgrades. My old Dell laptop that was Windows 7, I tried to upgrade, had ridiculous issues. It would try and load Windows 10, and literally the home screen would sit there and flash at me. So I went into safe mode, updated my drivers again to the Windows 10 drivers, and it would still do that. I had to roll it back to Windows 7. Luckily, it only took like 15 minutes. The thing that shocked me that I was able to successfully do is I have one of these Asus Transformer books I use as a soundboard for podcasting that was Windows 8. I was able to upgrade to Windows 10 in the blink of an eye. It was done, and I've had no issues with it. But Windows 7, I've had hell trying to get that to upgrade. So maybe it's smoother from 8 to 10. I don't know.
You know what I think it is? I think it's for those people that aren't, technophobes or technology enthusiasts like we are. It's fine for them, but for anybody who's a tech geek like us, it's just going to be a pain in the butt. I really believe that's what's going on here, because everybody I talk to that is into tech are having all these problems with Windows 10, but these people that aren't necessarily into tech have no problems whatsoever with Windows 10.
And I can see that, right? Because when I had my brief Windows 10 experience, things were working fine until I tried to push the computer to do video stuff, right? And my father-in-law, he uses a laptop. He's done no upgrades to it as far as I'm aware. So it is a stock Asus. I think it's Asus laptop. So I can see that. I think that once you've got something a little more advanced, I think that Windows 10 is having some problems with it.
I was going to say, so I was thinking about doing an upgrade to Windows 10 over Thanksgiving break because I just procured an extra 2 terabyte hard drive. I was going to clone my drive to that and try it. I'm seriously considering not doing it now just because I don't want the headaches, even though I can roll back easily.
Yeah, if you got a clone drive and the ability to do that, I would say go for it because it might work, right? And then you can always have that clone drive.
I'm lazy. The laziness factor and the whole ass-whipping nature of it not working right has really got me going, I'll just watch TV over Thanksgiving. I don't think I want to do this.
There's plenty to watch, too, with Jessica Jones and Man in the High Castle and everything else. So
Charlie Brown
good.
Thanksgiving special.
Ooh,
50th
I do
anniversary.
like me some Charlie Brown.
Is it?
50th anniversary. No, yeah, they already did it. It was at the beginning of November. It was the 50th anniversary.
Cool. But yeah, no, I have to say doing the clone drive was one of the best things that I did because if you were a live viewer when we did that, when I encountered the problems, I was able to just throw in the old drive and I've been working on it since. So I love it. I love the clone drive idea before you upgrade. But the other thing that you might want to consider is that apparently Sunkast has committed to personally helping you do your Windows 10 upgrade and sorting all the problems if something goes wrong. I thought he said that. Might have heard him wrong.
Yeah, just hit him up on Twitter at Sunkast with a K. He'll answer you right away.
No, did I mishear that?
TeamViewer, right?
Yeah, well, Microsoft's called me a few times and asked me to use TeamViewer to help detect my errors. So, of course I've got TeamViewer.
Hey, by the way, you mentioned you have a Dell, right?
Yes, I have a plethora of Dells in the house, unfortunately. I've transitioned away. The last 2 computers I bought are HPs, but
I was just reading today that apparently Dell is now installing rogue root certificates on their laptops.
What is that for? What is that for the audience, by the way, Sunkast? Why don't you tell them about that?
So I think it was, I don't remember exactly how long ago, but there was this big brouhaha over Lenovo having this self-signed root certificate in their laptops pre-installed. You had no choice over this, and they were caught doing this. And the problem with having a self-signed root certificate from a company like Lenovo or Dell is that it allows basically anybody to use that certificate to masquerade as a legitimate site, such as Google or even Yahoo. And that's the danger with the self-signed root certificates from Dell and Lenovo, is that it's very easy for an attacker to take a hold of those and masquerade as Google or Yahoo, and you will have absolutely zero idea that you're at a phishing website that's not really Google or Yahoo. And so it's very dangerous when these things happen, and the only way you can find out is if you actually look at the chain of the certificates in order to find out whether you're at a legitimate website or not.
Interesting.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's very dangerous doing something like that. So this is a big problem that now Dell is doing this as well.
thanks for the tip.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Is this only with newer laptops, or have they been doing this for a while?
I'm not sure. I didn't read through the entire article because I don't have a Dell.
Okay. I haven't bought.
Since you mentioned, I just wanted to throw it out there.
Yeah,
No, that's great.
that's fine. I mean, I bought my main podcast rig right now is a Dell. I don't know if I'll do that again, but all the other stuff that I bought was years ago, so I think I'm free of that except for on the podcast rig. So
There is a website that you can go and check to see if you have the Dell rootkit, the Dell root certificate installed. So there is an easy way to check.
So I just checked the article real quick. It's on PCs starting in August is when this shows up. So if you bought your PC around the August time frame and on up, that's when you might have a problem with this.
good to know.
For sure.
Thanks, Sunkast.
Yeah, no, thank you, Sunkast. And before we go on to our last news article of the night, I will just chime in that my father-in-law must be watching live because he did just message me, and he did remind me that when he did the update, he did encounter the settings issue, which we've heard about, where it resets the settings. Adobe Reader changed back to Microsoft default. Windows Media changed to Groove Music, or whatever the Windows 10 program is. No, Groove Music Windows 10 program. So yeah, that is apparently what he encountered. So also encountered some updates or some issues with the update. So I misspoke.
So that would frustrate the hell out of me if they went and changed all my preset stuff back to something else just by pushing an update down. I'd be like, what the hell, guys?
Oh, for sure. I mean, especially if they, for whatever reason, wipe all your files away. That would really set you off.
Yeah, and I've said this before. I was a big fan of Windows 8, especially 8.1. I know people call me crazy, but I love it, and I've had no real drive to go to Windows 10 for that reason. However, one of my big things that made me like it was going and switching all of the apps to the old style Windows programs. And so that would really have frustrated me if 8.1 came in and switched those all back. And yeah, that didn't happen when 8.1 came out. But let's go ahead and move on to our last news story. SP, what do you got?
Well, I love Tales of Disaster, which is why I liked The Walking Dead when it came up. I love shipwrecks. I mean, they just found a great shipwreck up in the Great Lakes, the Hydrus, which has been lost for almost 100 years, something like that. Well, last year, we all know that in modern age, a modern jet with modern electronics, the MH370, Boeing 777, just vanished from thin air, right? And so they've been looking for it. And just a little update, they have moved the search area right now. It's still in the band of the area that they were searching for in the first place, but there is a kind of a famous British pilot, Captain Simon Hardy, and he had determined through correct analysis that if the plane came to a soft landing, it would be in this general area. Now, that's assuming a lot of things, that the plane was still controllable, that the people were still alive in there, and so on and so forth. So I guess it is possible, but with the flaperon that came on shore on the island earlier this year, obviously part of the aircraft did break up, but they're postulating this British pilot is postulating that it will be in this area. And if it is, we will know in 4 to 8 weeks. They will have found it in using their, submersibles and their sonars and stuff like that. So no idea if it's actually going to be there or not, but just to let everybody know, this is actually still going on. The Australians are still looking for it. They're using multiple submersibles and they're just combing the sea bottom looking for this thing. And I might add, this is important, right? How many people fly on a day-to-day basis and how many people are on a Boeing 777? I've been on a Boeing 777. I've been to the Boeing plant that makes Boeing 777s. I've seen the advanced composites, the electronics, the systems on board that thing. It is an advanced jet. If there is something wrong with it, and there has been fires on board, not one, but 2 other 777s since this incident occurred, they were all extinguished. They all got taken care of. But if this was a systematic issue, then we need to know so that Boeing can fix it and take these 777s out of service so they don't hurt anybody else.
Did anybody else just get the feeling that what SP just did was his plain version of name dropping? I really feel like that was the case.
I am a rocket scientist. I do this sort of stuff for a living.
Hi, I'm SP, and I have sat and watched them personally build a Boeing 777.
That would take way too long. I'm not camping out at the Boeing factory while they build one of these things.
I heard about this today actually, and I think that it is we've talked about this missing flight on here before, and it is something that I follow when news does come out because I'm very intrigued to find out what happened. And just from a technological standpoint, the fact that we can lose such a large craft in today's age, it's incredible that can happen.
Yeah, this is not Amelia Earhart. This is a plane that's equipped with satellite communications, with transponders, multiple, with everything. So it is very interesting to finally hear what happened. Was it an act of terrorism? Is this a pilot committing suicide, which has happened since this plane went down? Let's not forget that, with the plane going into the mountainside. So very curious. We will find the answer, most likely, if the data isn't corrupted when they find it. But the problem is finding the thing. There's a lot of water down there, and it's very deep where this thing went down.
But what about aliens?
Sunkast, I got to say, I don't want to talk about the aliens right now on the podcast. I want to talk about the plane at the bottom of the ocean.
No. Let me rephrase that for you. It's not I don't want to. It's I'm legally not allowed to talk about the aliens.
my non-disclosure agreement with the United States government and other governments does not allow me to talk about aliens.
More accurate. Thank you very much. But we'll just see what happens with this search, and if there's more updates, we will keep you abreast of the situation. But let's go ahead though and move out of the news and go to our final segment of the night. Shall we do that?
Absolutely.
All right. All right, we have a very, very special segment in store, and this is one that SP is actually taking the lead on. So I'm going to flip it over to SP here, let him talk about it, and put my hands behind my head, relax, and not talk about this at all.
And the monkey is operating the cameras finally. Yay! All right, so back in May, the operator, Thank you very much, Mr. Operator, who was formerly on the Legends podcast on the Legends news stream May 7th, 2015, came out with a bet. And at the time, he was wondering, and it was misconstrued, but the original question was, how much more is Star Wars The Force Awakens going to make over Avengers Age of Ultron? Like I said, the bet got confused, misconstrued since then, and turned into how much it's going to make the opening weekend and then how much it's going to make for the total. So he levied it to all the members of the GonnaGeek Network, and many people chimed in. So we're just going to recap what happened, how these people responded, what their answers were, and this is knowledge of the pre-sales, because we found out last week that 50 million tickets were sold in the pre-sale already. So we can't take any more bets. The money is starting to roll in. I won't call it bets. I'll call them predictions.
I was going to say, there is no financial investment in this at all, especially if the IRS is listening.
It's a gentleman's agreement.
Yes, just simple predictions. So Operator came in and he said $235 million opening weekend. Okay. And then Wing came in and he said he did some investigations. He said, look, the most ever for an opening weekend was, at that point in time, I believe it was Avengers Age of Ultron at 200. I probably get this wrong. I think it was 207, 209 million, something like that.
It was
207.
It
was Jurassic World. Jurassic World was 208.
Yes.
Yeah.
This was so before Jurassic World came out that this information was
just
put down.
a couple of weeks before. So anyway, Wing said that was just over 200, 205, 210 time range was the most ever. But in December, the biggest opening weekend ever was only $84 million. So he said, all right, let's do $115 million because everybody's going to be off with their families. Nobody's going to see it. It might be an Avatar thing where the drop off isn't there and it just plays for weeks at around 100 million, but it's not going to do all that much. So he did that. And then Beef did The Price is Right, $1.
Which I believe later got discarded, whatever.
It doesn't matter. He's not going to win either way. He never came back to my knowledge and said an actual date. And if he did, actually he might have, I just wasn't able to find it. So Beef, if you're listening to this, please direct me to the Legends podcast that you corrected yourself and you actually put an actual dollar amount, and I will put that on and we'll correct it next week. So on Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. that week, when their podcast came out, we did our bets because he was specifically calling us out first. So Haley started out with, I'll start with Lauren. Lauren started out and she said 275 million because, well, Sith Witch is her handle. She's obviously a big Star Wars fan, so she was going gaga over that. I said, I don't know. I don't think it's going to do that good. I mean, it's going to do good. It's going to do the best ever, but I think it's only going to do 220. And then Haley came in and she said $1 billion. No. She said 300 million, which by far was the highest of anybody, by the way, at the time. And now it's looking like she might be in the ballpark. So we'll see. And then the Lobster came out and did a very detailed analysis. And if you want to see his detailed analysis, there is an article on the GonnaGeek.com website. And he said over the first 3 days, it is going to make $214,541,977. I don't know exactly how that all worked out, but it worked out in his math head. So we'll just go with that. So we will go down over to Unqualified Gamers. And the host of Unqualified Gamers is #verify producer Cody. It's very important to get the hashtag verified in there.
He is verified.
And he said 75 million, which he's now 25 million away from. So he's probably going to bust that. Mr. Chris Farrell said on an ATGN number 160, 190 million. Naki on that same podcast said 200 million. And Anthony Bachman said $237 million. So we've got a bunch around the 200 million mark. So that's pretty good. And then on Voices of Defiance, Sean and Shannon came out with their predictions. They kind of bookended me. Sean came in low at 210 and Shannon came in at $230 million. So that is their opening weekend bets.
Now let's just pause here for a moment and realize that what happened was Voices of Defiance got together and strategically place their bets so that they can hopefully have the best shot at being right, at being like, hey, look, we were right on Voices of Defiance. I'm on to you, SP. I'm on to you.
No, it was more the optimal way to screw over SP for winning.
Shannon at first said $1, and I said, no, you can't do that. Beef tried that, and that, no, it's disallowed. You can't do that. So she did try to do the $1, and it just didn't work. It was interesting. A few people threw in their hat on the most ever, or on the total worldwide box office number. Haley came in at $1.8 billion. Operator came in at $2.8 billion, and Beef came in at over $2 billion. So that is all the actual predictions that were made in the GonnaGeek Network. And coming up, our first podcast after the holidays, when we come back on GonnaGeek Network, we will go over these and see who exactly was right.
Exactly. Now, I did not participate in it because I am a terrible guess. And more importantly, it was just because I wanted everybody on the network to have a chance to win. That's what.
No, it's more because he had no idea, so it's easier to beg out.
It has totally nothing to do with that. It does.
His direct response to the original request was, I'm going to have to do a little market research before I answer this question.
Okay. So here was I will tell you what my goal was. My goal, and I never got around to it because
I know your goal. Your goal is to flippy floppy.
No, I'm lazy. Here's what I wanted to do. I wanted to come in as the network troll, and I had started this. I kid you not. I was going to go and pull a bunch of random people that I know that would not go and watch Star Wars in the theater, but I knew had seen Avengers, and I was going to come in with the lowball trolling bit and be like, no, it's not even going to touch Avengers. Look at my data here. I pulled 30 people and none of them said they would go. So that was my goal, but I never got around to doing it. But yeah, I was going to...
A little too lazy, huh?
I was too lazy. I was going to troll you guys, but...
Welcome to my world.
Hey, Sunkast, what do you think? I mean, the pre-sales are out now, but what do you think? And you think it's going to go high, or you think it's going to stick around like 150 or something?
You know, with all the marketing that they're doing for this, I think it's going to be somewhere around 217 for the opening weekend.
The biggest opening weekend ever, Star Wars The Force Awakens. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. I think it's going to be bigger than Jurassic World.
I think that's fair. I think that's very fair.
I don't think it's going to be much bigger, but I think it will be bigger because there's going to be those people that will go back and rewatch this 2 and 3 times, but there will be the majority of people that only go and watch it once. So you only have a small set of people that will actually go back and watch this multiple times.
You know, the big question mark that I've had, because I didn't make a bet, but this was the big question mark that I had, was how close it was to Christmas. And yes, you will get your diehard crowd that goes, but it's also like, realistically, if we look at the date, it is getting close enough that families will start to roll into town. Those who are coming from maybe out of country or whatever, you might see some families starting to come into town for the Christmas holidays around that date, and that could stop some people from going. And that's sort of the variable that I've been curious how it's going to play out.
Well, here are the variables. It comes out basically the Wednesday night before Christmas, a week and a half before Christmas, but it's a Wednesday opening. It's not a Thursday. It's not a Friday opening. It's a Wednesday opening. So automatically they get an extra few days in there. And then a lot of kids will be off of school that weekend. So you're right. There'll be family stuff, but I just don't know how many people actually go to the theater with their families, or maybe want to experience this with their families, just like I did with my family. When I remember the day that I've told this story before, but the day that the Return of the Jedi came out, I saw the movie 3 times. I saw it once with my dad and sister, once with my mom, and once with a friend. So I was part of the opening weekend sales back then, and I won't do that this time around, but I will see it at least once, if not twice, opening weekend. It just depends on who I'm with and that sort of thing. But I will see it opening weekend.
So SP, I've got to give you the Matumbo wag and go, It's December 18th that comes out in the United States. That's a Friday, sir.
Ooh, snip, snap. Snip, snap.
It's coming out early in the UK. They get it like a day before we do, but December 18th is the release date in the United States, as per the Googles.
Yeah, I remember it being the 18th as well.
Technically, isn't it the 17th?
Well, it's a 12:01 a.m. showing, which means they can get away with showing it at like 8 p.m. or 10 p.m. on the 17th, is my understanding.
But remember, the first debut will be on the East Coast, and that is 12:01 East Coast time, and thus it will be still the 17th real time, Pacific time. So I'm the most important is where I'm going with that.
Actually, it comes out in the UK a day before we get it, so you're not the most important. They get it before we all do. But real quick on this, I think the only thing that derails this hype train is one of two things. The movie leaks, and the movie is bad. If the early reviews come out of the UK and people are like, oh, this movie's an S show, I think that impacts the box office. It's still going to make a ton of money, but I don't think it breaks the record if it comes out that the movie's not good.
You know what? It doesn't even need to be that. If the word gets out that it's like, you know what? It's good, but don't go change your holiday plans to go see it. That could create a movement of putting it off till post-Christmas, too.
But you don't understand. My holiday plans are see Star Wars.
See, I don't necessarily go along with that, because look at Jurassic World. That was almost a remake of Jurassic Park, and that still is 2015's highest grossing film.
I still haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it either.
I have the Blu-ray.
I suck.
I haven't had time. I have it. I was going to watch it this weekend, guys. Come on.
It was essentially a remake of Jurassic Park. There really wasn't all that much different story-wise.
The park is open now, Sunkast. The park is open.
Yeah. I mean, it was velociraptors and a big T-Rex and an even bigger T-Rex, and people still saw it.
And buff Star-Lord.
Well, if you do have your predictions, please let us know. You can call us at 567-343-GEEK. That's 567-343-4335. Tweet us at GonnaGeek. Find us at facebook.com/GonnaGeek, or when all else fails, go to GonnaGeek.com. And if you send us your prediction on December 19th, we will not talk about it, because we will know that you are cheating.
I just want to make a note that in the chat, because this won't be available later, that Cajun Sean did say 375 million.
Awesome. That's good. Well, I guess that's going to go and take us towards the end of the show. Before we do close up, let's throw it over to Sunkast here. For Sunkast, what would you like to talk about or promote or plug?
You can find me on the GFQ Network. That's gfqnetwork.com. And I do a show on there called Tech News Weekly. It's every Friday at about 3 p.m. Eastern. Me and Andrew Zarin just talk about week's tech news.
Awesome. Chris, what would you like to plug?
Do you know how hard it is to not go back on my promise of making mom jokes right now?
Just like 6 more weeks, man, and then the year's over. Six more weeks
till 2016.
It's a shame that you made that your New Year's resolution.
Yeah, I know, right? So in all seriousness, I'll do the same thing I always say, is go check out all the great podcasts on the GonnaGeek Network over at GonnaGeekNetwork.com. We've got all sorts of things depending on what your podcast tastes are. So go check it out. You're bound to find something you'll like.
Awesome. SP, you got anything that you would like to talk about?
Absolutely. So a couple shows dropped in the streaming services last weekend. Jessica Jones is one of them. I am 6 episodes in. It is not one that you'd want to binge. It is a great series so far, but I'm glad I'm taking my time through it, because it just would literally beat me up too much about it. But what I want to plug is on Amazon Prime, Man in the High Castle. It's an excellent series. Go watch it. If you have access to Amazon Prime, it is worth it. It is actually worth getting Prime. Prime's great anyway, and I know it's expensive, but Prime is great. It is great for this as well. So I would definitely go see Man in the High Castle.
Awesome. And I am going to close us off with one final reminder. Please do consider donating to Steve's charity, CCL for Kids. It is an amazing thing, and I definitely encourage you to do so. So that's going to go ahead and take us to the end of episode 122. For this episode, I am Stephen John Drew in the Christmas spirit.
Oh no.
I'm Mr. Windows 10 screwed me over.
Oh, you want to be a podcaster?
And sadly, I'm not the French-Canadian sensation.
Bye!
Good night, everyone.
From everyone here at the GonnaGeek.com podcast, thanks for listening. If you like what you heard, please give us a 5-star review on iTunes. We encourage you to send your feedback by email to podcast@GonnaGeek.com. You can find all of our show history at GonnaGeek.com/official podcast. And while you're there, why not head over and check out all of the geeky podcasts on the GonnaGeek Network? The music heard on this show is by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com. Thanks for listening, and we will see you again next week.